War. In the world of Inamorta, it's the only constant. This is a land divided, where entire nations have built their societies, their technologies, and even their religions around a single weapon. The Archidons live by the way of the archer, the swordwrath the way of the sword, the speartons the way of the spear, and the Magikil the way of the mage. Each nation is utterly convinced that their way is the only way, and they are locked in a perpetual struggle for dominance. But what if that struggle escalated? What if this wasn't just a series of border skirmishes, but an all-out total world war? Which nation's military might, strategic doctrine, and unique craft would stand above all the others? Well, that's what we're here to find out. This is not a question with a straightforward answer, as many factors go into a nation's capacity for warfare. So today, we're going to analyze each nation's strengths and weaknesses to determine who would be left standing on the continent of Inamorta. Now, let's lay down some ground rules. We're pitting the 4 core ideological nations against each other, and we'll assume each has access to their full range of technologies and upgrades. This is war fought the old-fashioned way. Before a single sword is swung or arrow is fired, wars are won and lost on logistics. In Inamorta, the engine of war is gold, and the only unit capable of mining it is, you guessed it, the miner. These guys are the backbone of every single army. Without them, you can't train troops and your empire collapses. But they're also incredibly weak, with little way of defending themselves. So the question isn't who has miners, it's who is best at protecting their own supply lines while simultaneously crippling the enemy's economy. The Speartons have a clear defensive advantage. A disciplined line of Speartons in shield wall formation could create an impenetrable fortress around their gold mines. The Archidons could create a deadly perimeter, picking off any would-be raiders from a distance before they even get close. But when it comes to offensive economic warfare, one nation has a clear edge: the swordwrath. Their incredible speed makes them perfect for hit-and-run tactics. A small squad of swordwraths can bypass the main enemy army, get behind their lines, and completely disrupt their economy by taking out their miners. This speed and dispensability makes them the ultimate economic saboteurs. So, for the ability to strike at the heart of the enemy's war machine, the first point goes to the swordwrath. But a strong economy is useless if your army can't fight. Now, let's talk about the soldiers themselves, the boots on the ground who will decide the fate of Inamorta. First, the swordwrath. They are the bread and butter infantry. They are cheap, fast, and easily spammed. Their main strategy is to overwhelm you with sheer number. Their weakness? They have very low health and can't take much punishment. Then you have the Archidons, the masters of ranged combat. In a straight fight, they are a hard counter to the swordwrath, picking them off before they can even get close. But get past their arrows and they are incredibly fragile. Next, the Speartons. These are the elite, heavily armored super soldiers of Inamorta. They are tanks, designed to hold the line and absorb incredible amounts of damage, especially with their shield wall ability, which can reduce incoming damage by 70%. They can even throw their spear for a powerful ranged attack. Their only downside is a high cost and long training time. And finally, the Magikil. These guys are the wild card. Physically, they're weak, old men hunched over a staff, but their power is terrifying. They can cast a powerful blast spell that stuns and damages multiple enemies, and more importantly, they can summon their own army of minions. In Stickwarlegacy, these minions cost 0 gold and 0 population, meaning a group of Magikil can generate a disposable, never-ending army for free. So who wins in a pure head-to-head clash? It's a complex game of rock, paper, scissors, but for pure balanced pound-for-pound strength, you have to give it to the Speartons. Their combination of heavy armor, a powerful shield, high health, and a versatile weapon makes them the most formidable single unit on the battlefield. Having the strongest soldiers doesn't guarantee victory. How you use them, your nation's core philosophy of war, is what truly matters. The swordwrath doctrine is a classic blitzkrieg. They would use their superior speed to launch lightning-fast, overwhelming assaults, hoping to achieve victory before the enemy can mount a proper defense. The Archidons would favor a strategy of attrition and siege warfare. They would find a defensible position, dig in, and slowly whittle down their opponents from a range where they can't be touched. Their goal is to make the enemy bleed for every inch of ground. The Speartons are all about slow, methodical advance. Their doctrine is built around the Phalanx formation, an impenetrable wall of shields and spears that grinds forward, absorbing any attack thrown at it and dominating the battlefield through sheer discipline and durability. They are the immovable object. But the Magi Kill doctrine is something else entirely. They would avoid direct, head-on confrontations. Instead, they'd use their endlessly regenerating army of minions to harass supply lines, bog down enemy armies in pointless skirmishes, and wear them down with 1,000 tiny cuts. They don't fight fair. They fight a war of attrition where their enemy's army costs gold and theirs is free. For its sheer strategic genius and ability to break the rules of warfare, the point for Doctrine goes to the Magi Kill. Every war has its super weapon, the ace in the hole that can turn the tide of a battle. In Inamorta, that weapon is the Giant. These towering creatures are walking siege engines, capable of stunning enemies, knocking them back, and soaking up absurd amounts of damage. They come from no man's lands, meaning any nation could theoretically capture and deploy one. So the real question is, who can best counter this ultimate weapon? The lore, however, gives us a clear answer. One of the most effective ways to counter a giant is to overwhelm it with multiple Magi Kill. Their summoned minions can keep the giant bogged down and distracted, while the Magi Kill themselves stay at a safe distance, casting their stun spells to keep it locked in place and slowly chip away at its health. Once again, the Magi Kill's unique abilities provide the perfect answer to the most powerful threat on the battlefield. So after all the analysis, which nation stands atop the continent of Inamorta? Let's recap. The swordwrath won for their mastery of economic warfare. The Speartons took the crown for the strongest military unit, but the Magi Kill dominated in both strategic doctrine and their ability to counter the ultimate weapon. If this were a war of honorable, pitched battles, the disciplined legions of Speartons would likely triumph. Their heavy armor and impenetrable shields are tailor-made for the front lines of a conventional war. They are the very definition of military might. But war is never that simple. The true winner, the nation that would inevitably conquer all of Inamorta, is the Magi Kill. The Magi Kill possess the single most broken strategic advantage in the entire game, an army that costs nothing. They can lose 1,000 minions and simply summon 1,000 more. The Magi Kill don't win by being stronger, they win by making strength irrelevant. But that's just my take on it. Do you think the disciplined Speartons could outlast the Horde? Or that the speedy swordwrath could blitz the mages before they get started? A special thank you to my channel members who helped make this video possible. And until next time, keep conquering!